Hello and welcome. My name is Zaffar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo Story. Close on the heels of a major controversy surrounding the NEET exams, the UGC-NET exam that was held on June 18 has now been cancelled altogether, owing to what cybercrime officials have indicated to the NTA or the National Testing Agency that at first look the exam's integrity may have been compromised. Meanwhile, four men have been arrested from Bihar who have confessed that the NEET question paper for the entrance exam was leaked a day before the exam. Now, amidst the controversy over the need for admission into medical college, these four men have been arrested, and we are also seeing protests. Those are protests outside the residence of the Education Minister, Dharmender Pradhan. So, we're seeing these series of developments happening one after the other. First, it was the controversy surrounding the NEET, and now, obviously, it is the NET exam that has been altogether cancelled. So, what is happening here? We're joined by an eminent panel to discuss this. Those who are actually linked to these exams. We're joined by Madhukant, who is a NET aspirant. And we're also joined by Maheshwar Peri, who's the founder of Careers 360 360.com. Welcome to the show. Madhukant, if I may start with you, you are a NET aspirant. You have been studying for this exam. Were you one of those who had, in fact, sat for this exam, or you're still preparing for the NET?
No, I was the one who gave the exam. I gave the exam on 18th.
Right. So you gave the exam, and the very next day it has been cancelled altogether. What is your first reaction about this development that's taken place?
First of all, it's been a trend lately that they conduct exams and then they cancel it because someone has leaked it. I think the fault needs to be rectified because a lot of these exams happen once in years. So, I mean, for a student preparing for a good long time and then on the day of exam, if see things like this happen, it is a setback. It demotivates you, or it I mean, it shows that there's some problem which does not have a solution yet with the authorities. So it needs to be checked.
None of the fault of the candidates, the aspirants. You have been preparing for this long, for months altogether. You appear for the exam, and suddenly you are told that it's been cancelled and you have to go through this process again. It's a big setback for students like you, and it also discourages you from this entire system, the system of this conducting the exams, and people start to lose confidence in the system, whether it's a genuine or a credible way of finding the right candidates who actually qualify the exams.
Hmm. Right.
So, how do you see these developments? There would be others who would be preparing with you for this exam, and now there is no certainty when the next date will be announced. What do you have to say?
Okay, so in case of NET, we still have it better than others because it takes place twice a year. So it takes place in June and once in December. So if the June attempt is
Yeah,
cancelled, students still have the
yeah,
December attempt. But
yeah,
if you see, we are all at the stage in our careers where we need to clear these exams as soon as we can so that we can go ahead with our
hmm,
studies, so that we can
hmm,
start researching in PhDs or whatever. So
hmm,
now to go back to block one and then start again from there, to pick up the pace again, to set your schedules again. Many students, for example, have centers in different cities, so then they have to
right,
get their tickets done, and then it's all a hassle. They have to go
right,
there, and now they have to do all of that again.
yeah,
Moreover, the resources, if you see about that, doesn't personally concern me, but that's an issue. If you look at the resources that have been used, the papers, the sitting arrangements, the classes, the teachers, the invigilators, all has to be done again because a few or two people, they did the system wrong. They found the loopholes. So I think the loopholes need to be rectified. The students should not bear the pain of this process.
But it's in fact the students who have to bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Maheshwar Peri, we've been seeing what's happening around the NEET exams for all these days. There is a series of problems that have been taking place: the grace marks, the paper leaks, and today there is this news that four people from Bihar have actually confessed that they got the paper a day before the exam. What do you have to say?
No, I think this has been a systemic problem for some time. It is just that every time when we face this problem, we take some action immediately, but we don't look at the grassroots level symptoms of what exactly happened and whether we can eradicate that. Like we all know that some centers are compromised, some centers where papers are questioned, leaked, some agents who call up candidates to say that they can buy the paper, and those are all up there. But it is just that it's all in media, it's in social media, but there is nothing from the examination conducting body, in this case the NTA, which should otherwise be taking examination, but they don't take it. So this will continue as long as you don't uproot the problem from the grassroots level, and not like, for example, in this case of NEET, you actually saw Bihar, or you saw Bodhra, or whatever, or Chachar, or whatever it is, right? But if you don't understand a similar symptom and go after every institution, center which would have followed a similar pattern, but just go after that particular thing and arrest those three guys, that's not going to solve the problem. When a theft
Absolutely.
happens, a theft is, when it is caught, it is a theft. If it is not caught, it's not a theft, right? It just becomes a normal
Yeah.
thing. In my opinion, these paper leaks that are happening, the two centers that came out are because they're caught. It doesn't mean that there is no other paper leak anywhere else. And just to, I really empathize with Madhukan for what they have to go through, because I know the trauma of a student to prepare for an examination all over the space and create that base, create that feverish pitch that you actually achieve on a particular day, and then
Yep.
go and sit for the examination, and then to have it cancelled. It's extremely traumatic for students. And uh, I think NTA, for my, like, for example, in this particular case also, they say the integrity of the examination has been cancelled. Not exactly telling all of us what exactly is it that happened, and whether they are
Yeah.
going to deal with that problem at a foundational level, so that no other exam is cancelled for that particular reason. The lack of transparency in India is something that bothers me of late. In this particular case, just to give a one bland statement saying it seems like the integrity of the examination is cancelled is ungrazy. It doesn't matter. We just need to know what exactly is the integrity that they're thinking of, and whether
Yeah.
a similar thing might have happened for other examinations.
Right.
For me, NTA is found wanting at every single level. It can be transparency, accountability, being clear about clearly communicating to students of what exactly is the nature of the problem. And for example, in this particular case, when would the next exam be held? There has to be some kind
Yeah.
of a comfort for the student, so that they actually start working, like, booking tickets, preparing for, like, if they were to hold this exam 10 days from now, what happens? These students, they
And
can't,
and
again
and
go back to the revision again.
and Maheshwar Saab, what is the guarantee that the next exam would also be fair? They could again come up after a couple of days that they have got some more inputs, that there is a problem in the process, and they will again go for a re-exam.
I
What is the
agree. Yeah, yeah.
guarantee?
No, there is that's what I'm saying. Unless you uproot that problem at a grassroots level forever, this will continue. Like when a paper leak happens, you know how exactly the paper leak happens. You need to understand the source of the whole thing and ensure that the same set of reasons don't come ever again. And you create a process to ensure that the same thing is not followed again. The guys might come up with a new innovative method that we cannot stop, but at least ensure that it doesn't happen for the same reason over the years many times over, and that keeps happening again and again.
Right. And Madhukant, if I may come back to you, this pen and paper system that was again reintroduced this time from an online system. Why was it done? Why do they make those changes? What is the logic behind it? And do they help in the fair conduct of exam, or they create more problems?
Uh, okay, for a student, if I say, like, for example, for me, my job is to just go and give the exam in whatever way they want to conduct it. But I feel that when it is paper based, or when it is CBT, computer based exam, uh, computer based exams are, I feel personally, more hackable into. There might be students, or there might be technologies, hackers. They still might be able to do find loopholes in that computer-based system. This pen paper system is fairer in that aspect if you look at it. But I mean, again, the loophole is in the machinery of net. Of NTA. That needs to be rectified. You might change the system from CBT to OMR or whatever you want to do, but you still need to figure out where the leak is happening. That needs to be
Right.
fixed, because changing the method of conducting exam would not do any good if there are leaks still happening. You can do any method, but if it's still leaking, then there's no solution to that from
the,
changing
the
the method.
basic
That's
the,
all.
the basic problem remains unresolved, though they
Yeah,
might change the system from a computer driven system to a pen and paper system, but that does not solve the problem,
hmm,
as is evident from this case. That has not solved the
right.
problem, and the
Hmm,
exam had to be cancelled. Now, who is going to
hmm.
uh, help the students? Who is going to restore their confidence in the system? Maheshwarji, the point that is, how should educational institutions and examination bodies respond to these incidents to restore trust among the students, particularly those who devote so much time, energy, and resources for clearing these exams? It's a matter of their career, and they are fully dependent on this.
Yeah, so I think I said this in multiple fora. The important thing, Zaffar, is that any examination conducting body, when they declaring the results, must also have a report along with it, which is done by an independent body, which says that the integrity of the exam has not been is not in question. Today, when I declare my annual reports, they will do that. Anything else now, we actually have an affidavit which says everything is clean and clear. At this point in time, the examination conducting bodies give a self certificate to themselves saying everything has been clear and fair. Right? That
Yes,
is wrong.
yes,
So when you have an independent body going through some kind of data, some kind of forensic data, some kind of technical footprints, that technology footprints that you have, and say, okay, everything seems to be clear, and there is nothing that is hanky panky when you look at the data sets. Like for example, if, in the case of NEET, when you have 67 toppers, your antenna should have been aroused, right?
yes,
When you have about such a massive score inflation, you should be they should be big red flags around,
right.
right? And that is what they would have inquired. When you see that kind of data, they'll say, okay, let me look at the whole thing of what exactly happened, and the audit report would have answered those questions, right? At this point in time, if there are no challenges, you release the results, and even if there is some malpractice that happens somewhere, you just move on with it, and then you get on to conducting the next examination. You don't, uh, you know, go back and look at the reasons why certain things happened earlier, and you move on to conduct the next examination. And
And
I understand
also the
NTA is
fact
not competent to do that.
also the fact that the body that's been formed to look into these things is their own body. It's not an independent body
Exactly.
that
Yeah,
can
yeah.
point out the
No, which is what I'm saying.
loopholes. So,
Which is what I'm saying. It should be an independent audit, which understands the technology trail of the data, and the forensic audit. It won't take much time if you set a proper process of how to do a proper audit. While the results are being declared, it won't take more than a week or 10 days for any good process to ensure that the integrity is maintained. But I think to retain the credibility and trust of the student in any examination from now on, if you continue to live blind and say no, everything is okay and no one is going to question it, that is wrong. That is only authority speaking, but it is not credibility speaking.
Majority, another thing that is flip flops. That first of all, they award grace marks. They say this is a perfect way to handle the situation, as there was a loss of time for some students. Then they say that okay, we take back this decision, right? And but only those people get relief who approach the court. What about what sort of a system is this? How is it a transparent and a genuine system? Only those who approach the court will get relief. Those who don't won't get. How is it? Should everybody go to the court then? The system should be same for everybody.
Yeah, the answer is in your question, Zafar, that we are expecting students to uh, complain to the courts or approach the NTA, and only then they'll be heard. See, typically, all of us also, when we have a problem in the neighborhood, we don't go to a police station or a court. We try to solve it within ourselves, right? And or many of us as Indians, we live with the problem, right? To expect a student to, initiate all the, to go to the court or to complain to the NTA and be heard and exactly talk the details of the. I think that is completely wrong, and I think we are also setting a wrong precedent to the student that from now on you will be benefiting if you go to the court, and to that extent, from next time onwards, trust me, you will have thousands of petitions once the exam is over, and that is wrong.
It is just not possible. But what change do you think are necessary to prevent such breach from taking place in the future, and in order to restore some sort of a trust in the system? What we've been seeing over the last few days has just exposed this system. People have a lot of trust and faith in these bodies, and what we've been seeing for last few days is absolutely, it shows this incompetence and unprofessionalism. And how are students going to take it seriously anymore?
No, which is true. So, which is what I'm saying. We need to set up a process which people can trust, and the process should first of all must disclose openly of the kind of problem that happened this time around, and say this is what we're doing to plug those loopholes so that the same problem doesn't recur again, right?
Yeah.
And then set up a process which says that from now on we're going to be audited once the results are being declared, so that if there's any problem, then we're going to put a stall that. See, we need to. I think one is to conduct the examination, two is declare the result, but three is to gain the trust. And at this point in time, I think NTA and all examinations are going through massive credibility crisis. That anyone who doesn't get a desired result or a score will blame the system for that, right? And that's the worst thing to happen, right? From now on, every failed student has a reason, and every successful student doesn't have an excuse, right? So, and that must be stopped somehow.
Yeah. Madhukanji, now that this has happened, the NET exam has been cancelled altogether. What are your plans now?
Well, I'm in slightly a better position. I have cleared my NET in the previous attempt. This was for the JRF.
JRF, yeah.
But as a student, I think as a student, your plan should be, I mean, these things are not in my control or in any other student's control. I can just prepare for it again and do it and hope that it doesn't happen again. So I would want at least, I mean, I don't know what body they have constituted for the inquiry or, findings. Is it CBI or is it their own body, whatever it is? But I think if they are able to trace the root cause of the problem, where it started, the epicenter, I would want that, they should take slightly harsh measures if needed, so that it doesn't happen again. If it's their own employees or if it's some people doing from outside, but if they are caught, then it should be an example. It should not repeat once in a while with this frequency at least.
Right. And I got this, this statement about the cancellation in front of me. In the end, it talks about, it says that grace marks issue has been addressed as regards certain irregularities alleged in the conduct of examination in Patna. A detailed report has been sought from the Economic Offences Unit, Patna Police. Government will take further actions on receipt of this report. But just a few days ago, the minister said, and this body said, that there is nothing like this. There is no there are no paper leaks at all. But in their statement, they sort of say that they will look into this matter. This is another sort of a flip-flop. Maheshwariji?
The government at this point in time is speaking like the spokesperson of NTA, whereas they should be speaking like the spokesperson of people of India, the students of India. They're answerable to the students of India, and not to defend. I think we must start separating the government to the administration. When both of them collude, then you have this problem, and one is speaking as a spokesperson for the other, and the other also in many things now is speaking like the spokesperson of government. That's not how it functions. The government is answerable to the student of India, and they must first of all take the side of the student. At any point in time, even if we err, we should err in favor of the student and not err in favor of the administration. But that doesn't seem to be the case in these cases.
There is no transparency in this entire system. The point that they are saying in their statement that the issue of grace marks has been resolved. Fine. what was the criteria on the basis of which these grace marks were allotted in the first place? Do they say that? And
Yeah,
now
they
they
say.
say it has been resolved. How has it been resolved? Do they clarify?
But again,
If they have
Zafar,
clarified, have you understood what does it mean? How has this been resolved?
Zafar, the issue is not grace marks. Every time we talk of grace marks and 1563 students, we are doing a lot of disservice to the lakhs of students who might have gone through the same cycle but haven't complained about it. The issue is not
Yes.
grace marks. If you remove 1563, the rank will jump up by 1500. It still doesn't solve the problem because at 600 marks last year, the rank was 26,000. This time it's 80,000, which means you
Yeah.
actually have a 54,000 score inflation to rank inflation that happened. And remove
Yeah.
1,500, the 54,000 becomes 52,500. It doesn't matter. So that for me is a completely irrelevant conversation of how the 1563 came in, how the process of grace marks. It's completely irrelevant. The larger thing is there seems to be a massive score versus rank inflation, and that isn't addressed. There seems to be a massive, like 67 toppers. There seems to be something in Godhra, something in Jhajjar, something in Bihar. That's not been addressed. The thing that the government says that there is no leakage, whereas there are FIRs being filed by their own governments across the states. That's
Yeah.
not been addressed, and that's what is the larger issue.
Right. It points to many deficiencies and loopholes, and perhaps the system needs a complete overhaul. It does not need a small sort of a tablet to heal. It needs a major surgery to get the system corrected.
I
But
agree.
Madhukantji, now that you've seen all this happening about NEET and about NET, it was done this promptly. It was cancelled. Were you expecting that this is going to happen after all of this? What was happening in NEET, and now this will also be cancelled in a matter of a day?
No, I was not expecting it. I was not. I thought,
Yeah,
I mean, because NEET has just happened and all of this has just come up. So I
yeah,
thought that they would be more careful this time or this
yeah,
time onwards, but apparently that was not the case.
yeah. Absolutely. And now that you have prepared, you have already qualified the NET exam and you are trying for the JRF, you'll again do it. But lot of time, lot of effort that will be
Yeah,
put in again. And then again, there is no guarantee that once that
right.
examination, next exam will be, there are no dates given yet, but whenever that will take place, that will be a perfect and a fair system. So we are reached a situation where this entire system has lost its credibility. Students who had looked up at this system as being a perfect system, transparent system, where merit will be given credence, will not be compromised. Now they don't know. This seems to be an extremely confused system. All that one can hope for is that they quickly take some measures, put the system back on track, restore some sort of a trust and confidence for the students. At least that can restore some trust and confidence. But things need to change fast and should be done on a war footing. It cannot be that one day you appear in an exam and next day you are cancelled for no fault. Lakhs and lakhs of students appear in these exams all across the country. They definitely deserve better than this. But thanks so much to both our panelists for joining us today, and thanks so much for watching the Mojo Story.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.